Larry Denardis has been a U.S. congressman and a state senator. Now he wants to add governor to his resume. But so does Tom Foley. The former ambassador to Ireland is also eyeing Connecticut's top spot. And they'll be battling a crowd at the nominating conventions later this week. Current columnist Kevin Rennie is here with a preview of the delegate drama. Hi, you're watching The Real Story. I'm Lori Perez. We have a packed show today, spending some time with two of the many candidates for governor. Up first, Larry Denardis, who's been a state senator, a congressman, assistant secretary of health and human services in the Reagan administration, and spent more than a decade as president of the University of New Haven. He's also been a professor and most recently an advisor to political parties of emerging democracies. Thanks, Larry, for being here. We're also joined by Kevin Rennie, who is going to be kind of co-hosting this today. Thank you, Kevin, for being here. So, Larry, let's just start out with the very most basic question of why you want to be governor.
I want to be governor because the state is facing staggering problems, and I feel that I have the experience and the knowledge. You recited some of my past. I think I'm well equipped to deal with the problems that we face. And the problems that we face, incidentally, are unprecedented in our history. We are going to be facing a budget deficit of gigantic proportions come next year, and it will take all of the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom of people working on it to deal with it.
So specifically, what parts of your experience, for example, would you say apply to battling that budget deficit?
Well, first of all, I know budgets quite well. I knew them from being a 5-term state senator and at one point chairing the Finance Committee and authoring the largest tax cut in state history. Up to that point in time, unfortunately, it still stands as the largest tax cut in state history. As a congressman, I was also dealt with budgets, federal budgets, was very much involved in the Reagan Revolution to get our country moving again after a period of stagnation. The president, with the support of Congress, and I would call myself a foot soldier on his behalf. We cut spending, cut taxes, and started the largest economic expansion in the history of this country, which started around 1983 and went well into the 1990s.
So when you look at the budget that just passed here in the state, where do you see some spending cuts that need to be done?
Well, the governor next year and the General Assembly, those elected in November, will have to, in the wake of a $3.8 billion deficit, that will be equal to 20% of what is estimated we will spend for that year. We'll have to cut every department, every agency, every board, every commission.
So you wouldn't accept if they said we just can't cut here? I mean, obviously.
Oh, absolutely not.
But some things can't be cut.
Some things can't be cut.
And those some things are a large part of the budget.
They are, and they might take extraordinary action, emergency action. I wouldn't put it past us to have to do that. And on my first day, I will declare a state of fiscal emergency to signal to everyone what we must do in the following weeks and months.
What does that mean? What does that mean in day-to-day life, a state of fiscal emergency?
That means...
It doesn't give you any additional powers as governor, does it?
No, but I will ask, well, first of all, I will freeze spending, I will halt all new borrowing, and I'll ask my department heads to find 10% cuts in each one of their areas. I will then, of course, need General Assembly concurrence to be able to do that. I can do it up to 2, 3, 4 percentage points, depending upon the program. But to do it to the extent that we need to do it, it will require the cooperation of the General Assembly.
Well, what makes you think that you'll be able to get that cooperation of the General Assembly? Because certainly they tried to get the General Assembly to support cuts in every area.
Well, first of all, we'll have a new General Assembly come January. And I think that Republicans will make significant gains in the House and the Senate. I'm not predicting that Republicans will take over the General Assembly, but there'll be many, many new members. And everyone will have gone through the November election. And if that doesn't chasten them, I don't know what will, because the public will speak this November, and they will speak loudly and clearly for fiscal restraint and fiscal conservatism.
And you think that's going to turn it because the last 3 elections, the governor, right, Republicans have won the governorship, but they haven't won, they've lost seats in the General Assembly.
And spending keeps growing. I mean, would you say Governor Rell's done a good job?
I would say Governor Rell has done the best job she could under the circumstances. I mean, she's
Is
had
that a good job, considering the budget that she's leaving?
She has done she's done a good job, particularly in the beginning, and perhaps in the last year or so, she sort of bowed to circumstances.
Well.
Okay.
She refused to veto a budget that could have been upheld.
And I would have vetoed the budget. Right. Yes.
So on the most important issue that she's faced, certainly in the last couple of years, you would have taken a different road.
Yes.
Let's talk about, I mean, obviously the budget is the big thing. Jobs, all you guys come here and you talk about jobs and how the new governor needs to be the top seller, the market the state. What would you do differently than your competitors?
Well, first of all, we've lost 100,000 jobs since the onset of the recession. So we need to carefully repair. We need to repair the fiscal condition in Hartford first. That's job one. If we don't do that, if we don't get that right, if we don't put ourselves on a path to fiscal solvency, we have no chance of repairing our economy. Now, there are many steps that we can take to do that, but it begins with Hartford becoming responsible and fiscally solvent. And it won't happen in a year or 2 or 3. It'll take perhaps 4 years. I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to commit the next 4 years to some tough, hard work to get us on the road to recovery.
Well, is that going to include tax increases?
It's not going to include tax increases, and I'll tell you why. We're one of the highest tax states in the nation as we stand. Highest, second or third highest per capita in the nation, second or third highest bonded indebtedness per capita in the nation, the most business unfriendly state in the nation. I can't, with good conscience, talk about raising taxes. In any event, our problem is a spending problem, not a taxing problem.
So essentially $4 billion in spending cuts, no tax increase.
There will have to be some accommodation. We're not going to have tax increases. That's not on my agenda. And I know what you're saying. Well, how can we have a $4 billion reduction in spending? We haven't tried. We haven't tried. We've bowed to the status quo.
Are you going to put out a plan?
I have.
I mean, a specific plan?
I have, yes. It's going up on my website in 48 hours.
All right.
Yes. And you can see, yes.
Why shouldn't we have some tax cuts? I mean, I understand that, the argument is taxes make the state more business unfriendly, but...
Well, that's reason enough. If we can't attract businesses here, if we can't lure businesses here to
but
expand,
other kinds of taxes. I mean,
you mean income taxes?
Yeah.
Sales tax?
Sales tax.
Sales. Look, it sends a very wrong signal at this time, because no one in the business community, in the public at large, thinks that people in Hartford have the guts to do what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. We spend too much. We have been on a spending bitch. Our population has remained static over quite a number of years, and yet our spending has gone up by 25% within a relatively short period of time. What's wrong with that picture?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do with delegates at the convention, which is just less than a week away?
Yeah, I think we're doing fairly well.
Enough to primary, 15%?
I think so, yes.
Will you primary?
Oh, yes, very definitely. And remember, I have a good deal of support in the greater New Haven area and in southern Connecticut, throughout the shoreline, all the way out to the Rhode Island line.
Well, welcome to Greater Hartford.
All right. Thanks very much, Larry, for stopping by.
Yeah.
Up next, we talk to another Republican candidate for governor. Tom Foley is here. He's coming up.